Excellent. Marcus has his hat on.
That's the one. Interesting hat. I've got something even more interesting. If we really want to become, how shall I say, removed from view,
No, that's what Phase needs.
that's the V for Vendetta mask. If you've seen the film V for Vendetta, that's the mask they were wearing outside Parliament.
Guy Fawkes, that's who that is.
Yeah, it's the Guy Fawkes mask. Easily available. Anybody wants one? Just go to your local bookstore, they should have it. And if they don't, ask them why. So, what do you think of Jarrah's location of the Barron Report?
Oh, is that ever good?
Isn't it? The full report. Now, the 55-page report, not the 500-page report, that's never surfaced. But when you link that report, the Barron 55-page report, the full report, it's not often been seen with what you've just discovered, Scott, about the report on the 201 fire. It's interesting that Thomas Barron wasn't part of that particular investigation, but he did his own investigation with his own report, and it's damning. His report is damning on the ability for North American Aviation, who he worked for, to maintain quality control. And they're the people producing these things that catch fire. And he mentioned in his report that there was a lot of waste material in the capsule, and that shouldn't be there. Anyway, it's worth checking in full detail Thomas Barron's report. I believe his full report, the 500-page report, which nobody's ever seen, is supposedly in the Library of Congress. I don't know if that can be traced.
The last page of this report shows who it was distributed to and the date, November the 8th, 1966. Was that prior to Apollo 1?
Apollo 1 was January 67.
Okay, so this was written before the fire.
Yes, the fire was January 27, 67.
And that construction log for the LEM, with all the handwritten notes in here, started in June of 68.
June of 68 was well after the Apollo 1 fire.
Yeah, and of course it's just a absolute mess of problems, right?
Yeah, huge amount.
This is what Thomas Barron says about all of these problems in his general notes. He says, lack of coordination between people in responsible positions, lack of communication between almost everyone, the fact that people in responsible positions do not take many of the problems seriously, engineers operating equipment instead of technical people, many technicians do not know their job. This is partly due to the fact that they are constantly shifted from one job to another. People are lax when it comes to safety. People are lax when it comes to maintaining cleanliness levels. We do not make a large enough effort to enforce the PQCP. People do not get an official tie-in time period. We do not maintain proper work and systems records. The NAA does not give the working force a feeling of accomplishment. There is not one procedure that I can remember that was completed without a deviation, either written or oral, allowing ill practices to continue when the company is aware of them. The constant transfer of QC and technical types of people to different types of tasks. Many of the techs will tell the QC man that they have never done that type of job before or used that type of equipment before. This is one of the most prevalent problems NAA has.
Let's just say who NAA is. That's North American Aviation, the
Right,
company that Thomas Barron worked for as
right.
quality control supervisor. So Thomas Barron was really working hard to ensure that quality control was maintained. He says unequivocally that it was not maintained.
Yeah, it also says here on the next page, if an OCP has been written for a specific system, it should not
Yep.
be changed. I believe OCP is Operation Control Protocol.
That abbreviation PCP is probably to do with control as well. You need to look that one up.
It sounds like they were putting it together willy-nilly.
It's like they were almost putting it together knowing it was never going to be used.
Good enough for a museum, I would think, because that's basically where they are now.
And then it goes on to say, poor workmanship. I specifically like the very last sentence. Men coming to work on the pad with alcohol in their systems in excessive amounts.
You imagine Poppy had to work with those people in there? One girl and a bunch of drunken buggers running around. She'd be having a heyday. Nice hat.
No, I got a different one this time.
Anonymous, there you go.
Yeah, I'm not a member of Anonymous, just to make sure that people understand. I just like the mask.
They'll be contacting you shortly.
I hope so.
Grumman Aircraft Engineering Corporation. Holy cow, look at the problems that they had. Apollo 11 LM5 construction.
Yeah.
130 pages of notes, handwritten notes with every problem under the sun. What is really strange about this is that all of these handwritten notes that are on the documents here, it says at the bottom it's simulation because we're talking about November the 6th, 68 to December the 15th, 68. They didn't launch until the 21st of December.
Yeah, that's Apollo 8, isn't it?
Yeah. And they also have everything right down to the second here on some of these charts.
Right to the second.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
right to the
Yeah,
second.
not to the minute, to the second. That's their simulation. And you can see in that report that this is where they've got the transcript. They have the ground elapsed time in there. The GET is already included in the simulation. This is where they developed the transcript, and they got handwritten notes in amongst this. So they developed the transcript from the simulation, and they developed the cue cards from this simulation. But you can see with these different diagrams that they're shooting here and the cards that they produced, all of these things in here. That doesn't actually show the timeline there yet, but it will as you scroll down. They're starting to show them here. You can also see the cue cards for the commander and the lunar module pilot. And the instructions are here in these ones, and they've split them up for both.
You're running a simulation. Why would you go to this much trouble to change some numbers, scratch some things out, and then change the seconds? You see, it makes no sense.
And they would have no idea how long it would take to get from one station to another anyway. See, they went from 318 instead of 319.
Yeah, and then look at even the seconds have been changed. Why would you do that? This is a simulation. And here again, at the bottom here, rewind, stop, rewind, 12 seconds.
They were creating the storyboard for the filming of Apollo as well, because this would then translate into what we see with make-believe, smoke and mirrors. Note the first two words, make-believe. It's a fabrication.
The reason why we like to read everything and show the documents is because people that are over on channels like Simon Dan and Dave McKeegan and the rest of those guys, if we don't show the documents and then read them and show you, then we're called liars by the NASA fan club. And that's why we do it. We don't have a choice.
Yeah, we show our sources, which come straight from NASA.
Okay, there's another link. That's the bibliography, the Thomas Report from Clavis. The official Thomas Barris death ruling is in there when you scroll down. They're talking about the documents that he wrote, that they were damaged. And here it says that it's a 500-page report, not 59 pages. And it mysteriously disappeared after his death, and NASA probably destroyed it. That's the official statements from this website, which supports NASA, but not in this case. And then it's the official version of his death here.
It's going to be an interesting explanation for it, because very few people have read the full report. As Jarrah said, NASA did not include at the time the full report, and nor did Bill Casing when he published the first 23 pages. It wasn't the full report.
But this is interesting because this only has 59 pages, and Clavius says that it's 500?
Well, the only claim is that Barron wrote a 500-page report, which has never been seen, whether it was destroyed by NASA, whether it never reached the Library of Congress. It wasn't even produced during the Congress hearings into the accident.
Here's another one claiming that he initially made a 55-page document and it expanded it into 500 pages for the hearings in 1967.
You'd think that if he had a 500-page report prepared for the hearings, that was Representative Olin Teague's Subcommittee on NASA Oversight and Al Holmberg's testimony immediately following Barron's. But that report has not been found. The 500-page report has not been found.
And of course, those hearings happened after Apollo
After the
1.
fire. I think Clavius is being rather unpleasant towards Thomas Barron.
Yeah, except that at least they're stating the facts.
Who are you and why should we trust you? Jay Windley has been trained as an engineer and has worked in various industries, including aerospace. He studied mechanical engineering and computer science at Kansas State University, BSCS, and engineering design and computer science at the University of Utah. At a later institution, he did graduate working their advanced manufacturing laboratory and for Associated Corporate spin-off engineering geometry systems. And of course, it goes on and on and on. He says, Windley has been acknowledged as an expert in the technical industry of Apollo and has consulted with several authors, including Arthur C. Clarke, Ed Mitchell, and his comments have appeared in the New York Times Magazine and Metropole.
Oh, it sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Obviously, it doesn't mention his police record, does it?
No. Windley's interests also include the entertainment industry. He appeared regularly on, behind, or under Utah stages and has worked with James Earl Jones, Sterling Brimley, Eric Ward, and the award-winning production crew of the Hale Center Theater. He has worked in Hollywood with Lex D'Azevedo and has helped develop the visual effects for Stephen Hawking's The Fate of the Universe.
Special effects for Hawking's? You mean when they were doing documentaries?
Well, it's kind of amazing how he just happens to be in the film business and, with effects.
I have Wikipedia here saying that the document was 169 pages long.
Well, we don't necessarily trust Wikipedia, do we?
No, after all, they got rid of you.
That's true. Yep, they got rid of me. I'm not on Wikipedia, thank goodness.
Well, I thought you played a great game. Football?
It's only
Put in
because I
Marcus
was...
Allen, and you got a top-notch player there.
Well, I hope so, yeah. But it's because I was arguing about the moon landings, they decided to remove me. Ha!
Yeah.
That just proves it's true.
Yeah, that's the best admission of guilt that they could do, is to try and make you vanish.
It doesn't work, guys. There's plenty of other channels.
I like how the U.S. uses the term disappeared instead of vanish.
Yeah, disappeared.
Ain't no good, is it?
But you know something? When you take a look at these handwritten notes that these engineers have written out, one thing I really do notice is that there really is a lack of communication. There's a lack of quality. This is a real big one, is quality of the materials. Then you get into some of these other ones. These certain things just can't function. They attempted, but it will not run. I realize that you're going to have deficiency lists. That's just the nature of the game. But my goodness, what happens when your quality control goes to pot and you get these pieces from the factories and then you go to install them in the CM or the LEM? They don't fit, or the power systems don't work, or the connector's wrong. The connectors have been soldered wrong. The wiring inside the connector's been wired wrong. The bus voltage is going crazy. The lunar landing radar test fails.
Yeah, and where are the documents that show that these problems were fixed?
Yeah, so where are these documents that shows that all of these problems were fixed? All we have here is a deficiency list that's longer than the...
Yeah, I was just reading through the Apollo 204 report. Very interesting stuff in there.
Yeah, except that it's like looking at something that's been completely whitewashed. You can sit there and go down. So I was going down through them, and I'm just randomly opening up different documents, and basically I was looking for log files, ones that actually have names on them. And I got down to the C. After you scroll down through all of the serial numbered ones, and then you get into the names of them, so there's A, B, C, and when you hit the COL PDF files, all of those have been updated in 2018, and if you try to open them, they're not there. So we're looking at the dates down here, And here are documents that have just been uploaded, PDF files, in 2025. Here, I'm looking at one right here, is the 11th of August, 2025. I'll see if I can open it up. It's a memo of something from MIT. It's dated 1968. I just opened them up, but there's so many of them there that have been uploaded to this site and then deleted again because they need to update it one more time. This is where NASA is spending its money. Why are they working on Apollo documents and uploading them to the internet? How many do they have in a team that are working full time on the Apollo files in 2025? And why do they need to modify them? What are they trying to hide?
I can't find any that are before 2000.
That's right. This website is sitting there, but when you open the file up, it's got an updated press kit in there.
Really?
Yep. Now, you'd have to scroll through and read word for word and compare it with another one, but they've cleaned up all of the images and they got rid of the sunglass pocket. Now it just says pocket.
Why are all these reports dated 50 years after it happened? I don't get it.
Why are they working on Apollo files right up, and they're still working on them today? There's thousands of PDF files here, but the ones that they've changed again don't open. It just has a 503 error when you try to open a file.
Not one of these reports are dated 1969.
Yeah, they're still dated that, but their upload date is 2009. And guess what? I'm scrolling down through all of this. If you click the thing at the top of the thing over to the left, you get the page's numbers, right? And I'm scrolling all the way down through, and all you see is the biological isolation garment. That's the one that they walked into the Airstream trailer with, right? Oh my lord.
And there's a noticeable difference in the typefaces. It's as if somebody's retyped some of it.
You can see that the images that they put up, if you look at, say, page 15 in the one that they have uploaded with the images, when it's, they're going to separate and reconnect again, and the first step on the moon and all of that stuff, they have cleaned those images up.
Yeah, they have.
They're the same images. They didn't change them, except it says page 15 on the one they put up in 2009, and that is page 13 on the original. That can't change, can it?
No.
Marcus, I downloaded that Apollo 8 crew log, like all of the serial numbers, and then it goes alphabetically. So Apollo 8 crew log, it has several files on Apollo 8. That's the one that has all of the stuff for simulations that they put in. That's where they created all the transcripts from. Everything is in there, all the details in there, all the corrections are in there that they created the transcripts from. And then, of course, they just had to create what they were saying.
They had to make sure that these things matched up, and the trouble is they made mistakes.
They had more than cue cards just for them. They had one for the LEM, they had one for the command module, all of those things. Even their flight plans were all created using that simulation.
Yeah, so it would appear that when they were using the cue cards, they would appear to have information that they could follow. But if the information came before they actually got to the moon, the cue cards are just fiction.
The timeline's completely done. The entire trip is documented before they ever lifted off. And it's accurate right to the minute. And that couldn't possibly happen.
Can you see how the typeface changes?
They've changed a lot of stuff on it.
But if this is the official press kit for Apollo 11, there should be no changes at all. It should be a document that records the time.
There, right at the end of the press kit, there's an updated file. The liquid hydrogen is 0.56 pounds per gallon. That's a US gallon. Liquid oxygen is 9.5 pounds per gallon. The kerosene is 6.7 pounds per gallon. They have documents out there to try and say that the oxidizer and their fuel weighed a whole lot more, because when we were talking about the lander sitting there with those very small fuel tanks, if you add it up, a US gallon of water is 10 pounds. And of course, any fuel floats on top of water. Anything made from oil product is lighter than water, so it has to weigh less. And if it's a gas made from that type of material as well, even if you compress it to a liquid, it's still going to be lighter than water. And if you take and fill those tanks up with water, and they're about 1 cubic meter each, that means you only have 8,000 pounds of fuel sitting there if it weighed as much as water, but it's lighter than water. And of course, the documents say that they had 19.1, something like that. Sometimes it's 19,500 pounds. Other documents said 18,500 or whatever. Well, you can't put that into 4 cubic meters. Even if you filled those fuel tanks, even if you took the entire quadrant, which is 1.5 cubic meters, with concrete, you're only at 14,000 pounds. Concrete's 22 pounds per US gallon. All of these materials that they have there that they're putting in are much less weight, even when they're compressed to a liquid. And there are documents out there saying that they were getting 15 and 16 pounds for the oxidizer. That's impossible. This document, they still have the stuff at the end of the press kit here showing all of the weights.
Yeah, they do.
They did clean it up. There are differences in page numbers where they're obviously missing a few things that they skipped. Maybe they dropped the blank pages, who knows, but they've done some modifications. Like, looks like there's a total of 4 pages missing somewhere.
It's possible that they were blank pages, but I don't recall blank pages in the hard copy press kit I've got. I'll certainly look through it, check it out.
We don't know if they've changed any of the wording in here either.
It looks like it's been retyped in places with different typeface.
Yeah, they definitely cleaned up the graphics.
It looks like a lot of these alterations, the dates of the reissue of this information, the PDFs, occurred after we started Apollo Detectives.
Yeah, that's what I was saying yesterday.
Yeah.
They didn't just grab this like in 2009. They didn't grab the press kit and say, oh, let's upload it to this site. They took this file apart, did whatever they wanted to, and cleaned it up. That takes time. That's a 250-page file. So they have people working very, very hard on these PDF files, and they're going to alter them to suit their own needs.
To respond to the points we're making.
Exactly.
Get this. This is on page 189 of that part 2 that you just sent. That's page 89 in the box. It says, the LRL has the only vacuum system in the world with space gloves operated by a man leading directly into a vacuum chamber at pressures of torr 10 to the minus 7. It has a low-level counting facility whose background count is an order of magnitude better than other known counters. Additionally, it is a facility that can handle a large variety of biological specimens inside of a Class 3 biological cabinet designed to contain extremely hazardous pathogenic materials.
They did not go 10 to the minus 7 with hand-operated with gloves in the box. No way.
Let's see the photograph of it. Don't just say it. Anybody can say it. Produce the evidence.
You could not stand there and stick your hands in a box and close your fingers.
No way.
I think that's trying to respond to Ralph Rene's experiment.
He couldn't even do it with a vacuum cleaner.
It was not very high pressure he was getting in there.
Well, he wasn't pulling a vacuum. He just reduced the air pressure level by about 3 psi.
It appears that that reference to a vacuum chamber that in the Lunar receiving laboratory, they're claiming, which is a big site, 2-acre site, they had a vacuum that could pull torr 10 to the minus 7. Now, just comparing it to what Ralph Rene was demonstrating with his vacuum chamber. But once you pulled the vacuum, you could hardly move your fingers with a glove. So I think they're definitely listening to what we're saying, guys, and trying to respond to it. It's not working.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense. How can you have a vacuum system that you can operate with gloves? Then it says LRL covers 83,000 square feet of floor space.
That's 40,000 square feet is 1 acre. I don't think they're saying they did that thing in the whole facility. They just had a component to do it.
Oh, they said they had a chamber in there.
Yeah, they had a chamber. Well, let's see the picture of this chamber, guys. Come on. Don't just say it. Produce the evidence. You're so good at that. You had evidence of man landing on the moon. So where's the evidence of the vacuum chamber you used to produce Tor 10 to the minus 7?
So are they saying that this is the same type of thing that Ralph Renee had? I mean, they just put a glove right directly into a box and take it down to toward 10 to the minus 7, and you expect to be working with nuts and bolts?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It has the only vacuum system in the world with space gloves, operated by a man, leading directly into a vacuum chamber at pressures of Tor 10 to the minus 7. Well, maybe they did have it. Let's see the picture of it. Otherwise, we're not going to believe you, NASA. There's another one. Never a straight answer, or not always scientifically accurate. I think both apply in this case.
The funny
Astronauts,
thing is before they built Sandusky, they could only pull -4.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's that huge document building the vacuum chamber in Houston could only pull 10 to the -4. And then Sandusky, they could manage to pull 10 to the -6.
Lunar Receiving Laboratory,
It
1967.
says here for the preservation and protective of lunar samples. That's how they examined the lunar samples inside of these chambers.
well, carried in aluminium boxes that were sealed in a vacuum that weren't compressed when they arrived back here on Earth.
Those aluminum containers would just collapse, wouldn't they? How fast would they? You
They'd
tried
have-
to put atmosphere around those. That's pure fantasy right there. Especially the one that they kept for 50 years and then opened it up. That's absolutely nonsense. But how do you take them out of their box and put them in here without exposing them to Earth's atmosphere? Because the first thing they're going to do is absorb moisture.
255 there. They have all these rubber glove thingies hanging out there for their sample testing.
Yeah, but the gloves are sticking out, not in.
Yeah, these ones are sticking in, and that other one, they're sticking out.
Those gloves are just to protect whatever's inside from the atmosphere.
I noticed all these laboratories, they don't have a whole lot of computers in them, do they?
Well, they hadn't invented computers back then. Certainly not personal computers.
They have an X-ray machine up there that they're X-raying rocks with by the looks of it.
Oh, yeah. Out in the open, so they're being contaminated.
445, there's the samples, and those look nothing like moon rocks to me.
That's interesting why they have to have that many chambers, separate chambers.
Yeah.
Like at 258, there's one guy operating the gloves in and all the rest of the gloves are out. That means that there's no vacuum in that chamber if the
Yeah.
gloves are sticking out.
It's a biological protection only.
Yeah, but no vacuum. He's putting his hands in there. They're examining the samples. They're supposed to be kept under a vacuum. And when you see them at 258, if the samples are in there and the gloves are hanging out like that, there's no vacuum in there.
No,
Unless the chambers are individual.
no,
Yeah,
they're not.
individual, but of course you'd want to maintain a vacuum on the sample all the time.
Yeah, I know, but there's walls between them inside, though. I mean, you know what I
I
mean?
know, but the other where the gloves are, there's going to be samples in there just sitting. They're not under vacuum. Those are not vacuum chambers of any kind.
No, they're not.
Those are just biological protection.
Yeah, in case they came back contaminated with lunar viruses. Basically, it just shows they're fairly primitive facilities, these. They're not producing a vacuum, because if it was a vacuum chamber capable of producing Tor 10 to the minus 7, it would look fairly like Bill Demos's vacuum chamber.
Yeah, when you get to 430, the guy's got a fairly high-tech microscope there.
Oh, it's got a good microscope.
Yeah, when you go along the 4 minutes and 50 seconds in, they've got the guys chopping them down and putting them onto slides on regular microscopes.
And then at
Yeah.
443, the two at the end look almost like Marcus's rock.
Now, isn't that strange?
Well, if
Yeah,
they're
there it
moon rocks, they must look like Marcus's rock because that's a moon rock.
Yeah.
It's a moon rock.
They
Yeah.
all look alike.
That's where it came from. It looks fairly similar to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. Especially that last one.
Here we go. Moon rock, guys.
Yeah, there it is.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Moon rock.
Yeah, 446, sample 90 is exactly the same. Just
Yeah.
about. Actually, sample 56 and 96 are really close.
There's a couple of them there that look pretty tame.
Yeah, this looks like moon rock. It's quite light, probably volcanic. It's a breccia. It's got other material inside it. That's what a breccia is. Probably quartz.
Can you describe all of the minerals if you crack that one open? Like, can you describe them first and then crack it open?
No, I don't think so.
NASA can. They even showed how to do it in the cue cards.
NASA's psychic, aren't they? Don't forget that. They can see into the future, far into the future. Future, future, future.